October 26, 2020 at 6 p.m. Via WebEx. I will also just say briefly before we take roll call, because we have such a fairly brief agenda, for those that want to participate in communications this evening, that you get ready to or be prepared to speak when that time comes, because probably won't be very long before we get to that portion of the meeting. So, Madam Clerk, I'll ask first if you would please call the roll.
Banks.
Present.
Brightwell.
Here.
Hoskins.
Here.
Vanderwall.
Present.
Morris.
Here.
Taylor.
Here.
Cruz.
Present.
Mr. President, you do have a quorum, and the mayor's on the line, and the city administrator, deputy city administrator, and a few other department heads this evening. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you all. I'm glad that everybody was able to make it this evening. First, I'd like to ask Mr. Brightwell if he would render the Pledge of Allegiance for us for this evening.
Yes, I will. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Brightwell. We'll move next on to presentations. Mr. Mayor, I believe you have a presentation of a proclamation for Extra Mile Day.
Good evening, Council. Yes, I do. This is a proclamation. We are one of hundreds of cities across the country that observes Extra Mile Day, November 1st, each year. And this evening, I am I'm recommending two people for recognition for going the extra mile. The proclamation reads as follows: whereas Southfield is a community which acknowledges that a special vibrancy exists within the entire community when its individual citizens collectively go the extra mile in personal effort and volunteerism and service. And whereas Southfield, through various efforts to support the community, chooses to shine the light on those individuals that give of themselves with total effort to go the extra mile. And whereas Southfield is a community which encourages its citizens to maximize their personal contribution to the community by giving of themselves wholeheartedly and with total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, community, and so forth. And whereas Southfield salutes 2020 Extra Miler honoree Sharon Jones. Ms. Jones is the Director of Urban Unity Community Development in Detroit, and she extends her concern for community to Southfield, where she resides. Ms. Jones has given her time and resources to help host a Kneel to Heal event we held on June 14th, and she has helped the mayor's office organize 2020 census registration events on Sunday afternoons. Her generosity extends to providing a DJ, backpack giveaways, raffle prizes, incentives to residents to complete the census. And most recently, she organized a voter registration, Get Out the Vote event, which included COVID-19 testing. Secondly, whereas Southfield salutes 2020 Extra Miler honoree Murray Roberts, who maintains a well-kept yard in Southfield's Magnolia neighborhood. For quite a long time now, Mr. Roberts has demonstrated pride in his community, not just by maintaining his yard, but he goes the extra mile and literally walks down 8 Mile, removing litter. And each week he mows the grass in the right-of-way between the sidewalk and the street along 8 Mile Road, as well as at the end of Hollywood Street, there's a grassy area that he maintains. Obviously, Mr. Roberts doesn't have to do this, but we certainly appreciate his pride in community by extending and spending hours doing this each week. So whereas Southfield acknowledges the mission of Extra Mile Day America to create 500 Extra Mile cities in America and is proud to support Extra Mile Day on November 1st, 2020. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Kenson Cyber, Mayor of the City of Southfield, County of Oakland, State of Michigan, do hereby proclaim November 1st, 2020 as Extra Mile Day in the City of Southfield. And I'm proud to recognize Sharon Jones and Murray Roberts for going the extra mile through their personal contributions and many years of dedicated service and volunteerism. And we urge all Southfield citizens to take time to go the extra mile. I believe both Ms. Jones and Mr. Roberts may be on the phone. Not sure if they wanted to say something. If so, they would have to be unmuted. I'm sorry.
Mr. Roberts, I'm here.
If you'd like to take a moment to comment, you're welcome to do so.
Okay, I'll go first. I want to say thank you to the City of Southfield, mainly Mayor Ken, for his honor today. I could not have earned this without you and the City of Southfield's partnership and support. I'm a very proud citizen of Southfield and ecstatic with the impact that I have made over the few months with the support of you all. And my plan is to continue to impact the lives of Southfield as much as possible. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Roberts.
Okay. Well, I would like to say thank you for honoring me doing something that I love to do, and that is take pride in my community. As far as going out there on a weekly base to pick up paper and cut the grass, that's something I was taught as a young man. If you have any pride in your community, you will take care of it. So that's all I've been doing. So for you to give me an honor for just doing something that I love to do, I thank you for that, Mayor.
Well, you're welcome, and you're greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
And I would agree. Thank you both for all of the work that you've done to, again, keep our community looking good and just being a voice, quietly. Sometimes we don't think people are paying attention, but yet we'd like you all to know that we are. I'm going to open it up to council in case there's anyone else that want to speak to it. Otherwise, I'll ask for a motion to approve the proclamation.
We don't need a motion tonight, Mr. President, for the proclamation.
We don't?
No.
All right. Any council members that would like to speak to the
Councilwoman Morris, Mr. President, I'd just like to say congratulations to both of the honorees tonight and just to thank them for their continued and consistent service to the City of Southfield. We really appreciate them.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chair, I echo the comments of Ms. Morris. And I think this is an excellent idea of this extra mile day. And we hope this will be a catalyst for other individuals in the city and or individuals to just do something to assist the city and also to beautify the city and to just keep it up. So thank you very much. And it's always good, but like the chair said, people always are noticing. I'm glad that the mayor went ahead and noticed it and got this proclamation here. Thank you.
Mr. President, this is Councilwoman Taylor, and I just like to concur with the rest of the council and just saying congratulations and thank you very much to both participants. And thank you to the mayor for recognizing them.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman Taylor.
Councilwoman Banks, I also would like to echo the comments of my colleagues and thank both of the recipients for your work, your dedication, volunteerism, and also your love for our great city. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Banks.
This is Councilman Hoskins, and of course, echoing everything that my colleague said, I want to thank both of the recipients for everything that they've done for our city. I've been able to see the work of Ms. Jones. I've seen her in action at some of the great events she's put on the municipal campus. And so I'm just grateful for her work. I'm grateful for both recipients' work and what they've done with the city.
Great. Thank you, Councilman Hoskins. Councilman Mandelbaum.
Yep, this is Councilman Mandelbaum again. Congratulations to a well-deserved honor, and thank you for all your help with the city. And hopefully, this will encourage more people to be active and take a stand to do more within the city. So, thank you very much to both of you.
All right, and again, as I stated at the beginning, I definitely thank you all as well, especially in this year, 2020. It's been a rough year, a lot of negativity, a lot of things that have gone wrong, yet you have still taken the time to do things to brighten our community, and that's just pretty awesome that you can do that even during some very tough times. So thank you all again. Thank you for being on the call today, and congratulations. Okay, we'll now move on from presentations to the appointments. And Mr. Mayor, I believe you have 3 reappointments.
Yes, I do. Council, this evening I'm asking for you to approve the reappointment of 3 members of the Southfield City Center Advisory Board. Those members have their terms have expired or about to expire, and they have served diligently on this board. All one has to do is look about the city center, and you know that they've made great contributions to the vibrancy of our city. So our first reappointment is Linda Height. Linda Height is the Chief Financial Officer for Lawrence Technological University, and she currently serves as the chairperson of the City Center Advisory Board. The second reappointment is Matus Nowakowski. Matt is the head of DUR North America, which is in Southfield on Northwestern Highway, who has done a great job of adding his time and talents to this board. And finally, the third appointment is somebody I think most of you know, Hassan Jawad. Hassan owns Tower Computing and his development company, which is on both located on Evergreen Road. So if Council President, I'm asking you to entertain a motion for the reappointment of these 3 individuals. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I will entertain that motion. Council.
Mr. Chair, this is Councilman Brightwell. I make a motion that we reappoint the individuals as identified to the City Center Advisory Board.
Support, Councilwoman Morris.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Brightwell and supported by Ms. Morris that we reappoint Linda Height, Matt Noskowski, and Hassan Jawad, all 3 to the City Center Advisory Board. Is there any other discussion before we take a vote? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Brightwell,
Yes. Yes.
Haskins,
Yes.
Mandewall,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks.
Yes.
Resolution adopted for the 3 appointments.
Congratulations. And thank you again for your continued service.
Thank you, Council.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have no minutes to approve this evening. We do not have a consent agenda. We do not have a public hearing or site plans to review. So we will move directly into communications. And so hopefully those that are on the line, we will give you a moment for people to be unmuted, and then we'll take individuals as they come. Uh, Everyone will have 3 minutes to speak on any particular topic that you wish. And when those 3 minutes are up, either I or the clerk will give you notification that your time is up. And I'll ask everyone else to go on mute so there's no confusion.
Mr. President, I'll unmute the caller right now.
Thank you.
Hello? Do you hear me?
We hear you.
Hello?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Good
Go.
evening. Gerard Mullen, Post Office Box 155, Southfield, Michigan 48037. Mr. President, tonight I would like to talk about Section 11.18. 11.18 in the Southfield City Charter. Section 11.18 is entitled Amendments. Paragraph 1 describes how to amend the Southfield City Council City Charter in one easy step. Sad to say, this conflicts with the not-so-easy two-step Michigan state law, also known as the Michigan Home Rule Act, thus making Section 11.18 null and void. 11.18 became null and void when the Southfield Founding Fathers, back in 1958, attempted to adapt the Michigan Home Rule Act into the Southfield City Charter. That's when the 9 Founding Fathers dropped the ball by deleting the second step in a 2-step process. State law mandates, yesterday and today, that there be two steps, not one but two. 2 essential steps are needed to amend the Southfield City Charter. 2, not 1. Essential step number 1. The Southfield City Council, that's you folks, must first of all pass a proposed charter amendment. And then the next step, the deleted step, that is essential step number 2. The Southfield voters, that's us folks, must pass by ballot election council's proposed charter amendment. Unfortunately, 11.18 removes us folks out of the picture altogether. That is, 11.18 deletes totally step number 2, the ballot election, and thus disenfranchises the Southfield voter. That's you and I. In a word, you folks here on this city council need to fix Section 11.18. If not you, then who? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go right ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Council. My name is Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan 48037-0155. My telephone number is 248-346-0439. It was something that you said, Mr. President, that has been on my mind for a while. And you said that council members work 24/7 behind the scenes, and we don't always know what you're working on. I do want to caution you about violating the Open Meetings Act if more than 3 of you are working 24/7 discussing things prior to you bringing them to the council floor, so to speak. This new company that's going to be acquiring Northland, I'm hearing from people in the city of Detroit that this company is acting on behalf of Amazon. And I would like to ask any member of council that would be bold and brave enough, or our esteemed city administrator, to respectfully respond to my concern. If Amazon is going to be the company that takes over Northland after we denied them the first time, I want to make sure that our council is going to run out of ink for the rubber stamp and talk about the community benefit, not just the community benefit giving the required percentage for economic development to the Arts Commission. I'm talking about community benefit as it relates to all of our community, and some of the diversity things that I'm hoping we're going to attempt to do and continue to do. There's more to the city of Southfield than just art, and I do love art. So I want to find out, is this going to be Amazon as well? If it's not, what type of development is going to go there? And what is the overall community benefit for all residents and taxpayers, not just the Arts Commission? And I say that with all due respect to the mayor. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. President, we'll wait to see if we have anyone else.
Okay.
We have one more caller, Mr. President.
Right ahead.
Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Hi, this is Rosemary Allen. I just wanted to call in and congratulate Sharon and the other gentlemen for receiving the Extra Mile Award. As a previous recipient of this award, it is huge. You don't do the work for recognition. You do it because you have a heart for it. And it's just good, though, to be recognized. So, again, just wanted to let the mayor know that those awards, that we appreciate them. And hopefully, as you all have said, it will encourage others to go out and do the work, and not for the recognition, but you never know who's watching. And it just makes you feel really good when you are recognized. So those are my comments, and I'm sticking to them. And everybody stay safe. Please stay safe and be blessed. Thank you for taking my call.
All right. Thank you, Miss Allen.
Mr. President, we don't have anyone else this evening for public comment. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll turn to council now for comments, starting with Mrs. Banks.
Thank you. Council, I'd like, at our next council meeting, to possibly consider, our meeting schedule for next year. I'd like to see us reduce the number of meetings from 4 to 3 and possibly have 2 committee of the whole meetings and 1 regular meeting. And the reason I brought this forward is because if a schedule is presented to us, I'd like to see, if possible, what a schedule with 3 meetings would look like. Thank you. Also, I'd like to remind everyone that a week from tomorrow is Election Day. Please remember to get out and vote. If you have not already obtained your absentee ballot, you still have time to go to the clerk's office and get it. And for those of you who have your ballots at home and you have not returned it, please do so sooner than later. It will definitely help and assist the clerk's office in processing and receiving the ballots. Everyone, just please remember to keep your mask on, wash your hands, stay away from crowds, and please stay healthy and safe. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Banks. And we will, I'll add that to President Council meeting tomorrow. Well, actually tomorrow, but when we meet next about the schedule for next year, just to kind of get it out. Might look
Thank
like.
you.
No problem. Mr. Brightwell?
Yes, I want to hitchhike a little bit on the election. And given that we have an open carry law in the state of Michigan, and 2020 has been such an unpredictable year, and I did see the chief's uh, summary of his response plan, but I would like for perhaps Mr. Zorn or he could delegate. Can we just give an overview of how we are planning for election day, just so that the listeners can also be aware of some of the things that we are preparing. The city is doing, given the unpredictability of society and also the unpredictable nature of 2020. So, Mr. Zorn, can you help us out with that?
I don't know. Is Chief Barron? Are you on the line
I don't believe he is at this time.
right now? Okay, because he did send something to me today. You're talking about voter intimidation and such.
Yeah. With the open carry law, people walk around with guns and yeah, vote invitation. I mean, the
Intimidation.
intimidation. Yeah.
I can, Mr. President, I can speak to it quickly. As you guys know, the Secretary of State put out correspondence in reference to open carry, saying that individuals had to be 100 feet away if they were exhibiting open carry, so that they would not intimidate voters or cause any type of ruckus or uneasiness at the polling locations. Currently, that is being challenged in court. We are expecting a ruling for tomorrow or Wednesday on the matter. The chief has put a comprehensive plan together so that we're going to have additional patrolling of all of our polling locations several times throughout the day. Additional officers will be added to the patrol unit that day, as well as unmarked cars will be patrolling in addition to that. Without getting into too many specifics, all of the election workers have been instructed if they see anything suspicious or if anyone is causing any ruckus in the polling locations to just call the police. And the chief has been excellent in coming together with the plan. Again, I don't want to get into any of the specifics that might give anybody information that they don't need as far as the strategy, but we have a comprehensive plan together, and we expect all of our voters to be safe and not intimidated on election day. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Clerk Hawkins. Mr. Zorn, do you have anything else to add to that? I think that pretty much summed it up.
You are correct, Mr. Chairman. this week, this afternoon, as well as last week, the chief has been working and addressing this, and I think, as Madam Clerk has expressed, we're going to do everything within our power, working with other agencies to ensure voter safety in Southfield.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, let me just follow up on something. Someone asked me a question today, and I think Ms. Hawkins addressed it. They were trying to determine, can an individual with an open carry go inside the voting area, or do they have to stay 100 feet away? And is that being contested in court?
Mr. Councilman Brightwell, that's currently being contested in court. The Secretary of State released correspondence saying that she was prohibiting the open carry from in the polling locations. But specifically, some of the polling locations are schools and places of worship. So typically those open carries are not allowed in those places anyway. Because it's pending litigation, I will be sure to send council correspondence over the next couple of days if anything changes. Again, we will have police presence to make sure that all of our voters can properly cast their ballot and be safe.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Brightwell. Mr. Hoskins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yesterday, me and Representative Kyra Harris Bowden and Senator Moss, we had our final walk the vote event where we marched to a ballot box and cheered on 4 voters. This is something we started to try to encourage people to come out and vote early as possible. We were joined by our Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, and also by some of my colleagues on council. And I thank you for being able to come out. I know I gave you a kind of a late reminder that the event was happening, but I want to make sure you all were aware of it. So I'm glad that you were able to make it. And like I said, the point of the event was just to get people out to vote. And I'll kind of echo what Councilwoman Banks said. I mean, if you can vote, the sooner the better. It certainly helps our clerk's office. It's one option where you don't have to worry about, if there's going to be open carry at the at the polling location. You can just get it done now, and you won't have to worry about getting dealing with any of the issues that certainly a lot of us have been worried about, which gets to my next point. Make sure you're wearing your mask. Make sure you're washing your hands and keeping your distance as best you can, because as we all have been hearing, the COVID rates have been going up. And we're all trying to stay safe and stay healthy for as long as we can. So be safe and please vote. It is very important this year.
All right. Thank you very much. Councilman Mandelbaum.
Thank you, Mr. President. As my colleagues have all mentioned, please remember to vote. It's definitely important. Absentee ballots, there's drop box locations throughout the city that are checked multiple times a day. It's very important to vote. I voted the first time when I was 18 years old on a study abroad program, and I had my absentee ballot actually mailed to me in a different country. So that's how serious, at least I take voting. Hopefully everyone else is also as serious about it, whether you're a first-time voter or a long-time voter. The other thing I wanted to mention, this is because I've been getting many calls and emails, and I think other council members have as well, is for those people who drive through the city, especially through neighborhoods. I'm getting a number of complaints about how fast some of these cars are going, especially as construction finishes, whether it's going down major thoroughfares or different neighborhoods. The speed at which cars are traveling is extremely dangerous, especially with young children out, and they're not going to be out as much. because of the colder weather. But as it gets darker earlier, and as well as early in the morning, it's when they go to school. If they're going to school, it's dark. Please be cautious. Please drive the speed limit. Our police are trying to crack down on problem areas, and there's special enforcement right now, but they can't be everywhere at all times. And I would just like to ask to anyone listening, and make sure you tell all your friends and neighbors, please be cautious. Please drive responsibly with the speed limit, and don't try to, if you're a few minutes late, that's fine. Plan your day better if you need to, or leave a little bit earlier, but it's not worth taking a risk to harming someone to get there a minute or two faster. So please be safe. That's all for me this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mandelbaum. We'll go to Council President Pro Tem Morris.
Thank you, Council President. Yes, I will just stay on the topic of voting. It's just such an exciting time. We have 8 days left before Election Day. I was happy to participate in the Walk the Vote campaign with Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson and State Senator Moss and State Rep Bolden, as well as some of the other council persons that were there. We did welcome 4 new voters. The mayor was also there, and that was a very nice event. Also participating in the Southfield Votes campaign being ran by the clerk's office. So it's just important to vote, and we are so encouraged by the over 60 million people that have already voted in our nation. I can't wait to hear the clerk's numbers this evening on our totals. And just remember to turn your ballot over for the Southfield Charter Amendment. This is a ballot initiative that the council approved earlier this year. And so we're just excited about our opportunity for change. Also want to talk about COVID-19 again. As my colleague said, be safe, wear your masks, wash your hands, try to social distance. I know with Thanksgiving coming up, it's going to be hard to stay away from your families. But there's just so much going on. I just got an email 3 minutes ago from my school. We just decided to send our kids back today. And they just sent an email saying that somebody tested positive. So now we got to bring them back. And so we're going back and forth with this. And so just stay encouraged, parents, as you're dealing with this issue of COVID-19. And hopefully a vaccine will be found soon and we all will be safe. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Ms. Morris. Ms. Taylor.
Yes, thank you, Council President. I'll also stay with the voting and reminding everyone to come out and vote. Remember that voting is your voice and it's also your right. I also want to concur with Councilwoman Morris, ask people to turn the ballot over. After voting the partisan side, please turn your ballot over and vote the nonpartisan, as well as the proposals in our initiative, the voting initiative. Please don't forget to complete the ballot, both sides, and vote your voice and your rights. I also want to thank our Chief of Police, and also our fire departments and police department, first responders. For the month of October, it was Domestic Violence Awareness Month, as well as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And our police and fire and first responders and our emergency management have really stepped up in the month of October and participated in a lot of awareness programs. And I just want to say thank you for that, because you never know, the person standing next to you could be a victim of domestic violence, and especially during COVID, the stats have been running off the charts. So we just want to appreciate all of the awareness programs that the City of Southfield, partnered with the police and the fire, have been putting on for the month of October. Every week there's been something, and a lot of people have been calling saying thank you for all that they're doing. I also want to let everyone know that we will not have a council meeting on November the 2nd. We will not have a council meeting, and that the city offices will be closed on November the 3rd. So just making you aware of that. And I just like to concur with everyone else and say to stay safe, wear our mask, do our social distancing. And that's another reason to turn in your votes, your ballots early. We won't have to worry about the social distancing piece if we can get our ballots in early. But please remember to, after voting the partisan side of the ballot, turn the ballot over. You got to vote for your judges and also the proposals and also the ballot initiatives. So please continue to turn your ballots in. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
All right, thank you, Ms. Taylor. And I won't belabor the points that have already been made. I will simply say uh, I second the emotions of everybody's comments on this evening in terms of voting, in terms of COVID, in terms of just the status of our city, the people that are out working in our communities, our clerk who is just in the clerk's office, everyone who's been doing such a great job making sure that voting has been open to everyone. We thank you for all of that, and you know we we want to make Southfield be a leader out here in terms of our turnout, and I believe the clerk will probably share some numbers with us before we leave tonight, just in general about kind of where Southfield is. We've been doing good, but we can do better. Every vote counts. So thank you all. Mr. Mayor?
Just add one more thing about voting, and that is please do not put absentee ballots in the mail at this point. Drop them off in any of the boxes, the 8 drop boxes across the city or at City Hall. The second thing I want to mention is COVID related. I would hate to be called a party pooper, but we are really discouraging people from doing door-to-door Halloween trick-or-treating this year. It's not outlawed, but the less contact, the better. And so we're either organize an activity in your neighborhood, but door-to-door trick-or-treating, we really want to discourage. I know in my neighborhood, we're doing drive-by Halloween. A bunch of us have gotten together, and we're handing out trick-or-treat bags from 2 to 4 p.m. this Saturday, rather than having door-to-door activity. So again, everybody's heard the same message about staying safe, keeping distance, and so on. So, and unfortunately, our numbers are going up, and that's not a good thing. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And you're right. And there's a number of creative things that I've seen on TV and on the internet that talk about how to do Halloween this year, try to keep people safe. So I'd encourage people like you just said to maybe just Google some things and see what other folks are doing. There's still ways to have fun while being safe. So totally agree with that. Thank you very much. We're going to move to the administration portion of the meeting. And Mr. Zorn, you have 2 items.
Yes, I am, Mr. President. I have 2 items that I am asking council to act on tonight. The first is the authorization for repairs to the Mary Thompson farmhouse. We're requesting authority to expend up to $38,482.50. This includes a 5% contingency for improvements to the exterior of the Thompson farmhouse. The project includes, but is not limited to, exterior wall coverings, gutter system removal, installation of a Harding plank pre-finished lap siding. The Funds are coming from the Thompson Trust Fund. We're requesting, our purchasing department facilitated the bids on this, and we're recommending that we go with the low bidder BTS Construction out of Shelby Township. Um, Council may recall that we recently finished a community development block grant, which included the building of a barn and ADA restroom facilities. Um, we're looking pretty. This project started. We knew the building needed to be painted. The Mary Thompson House needs to be painted every 3 to 5 years. We also, as we looked at painting, we looked at traditional painting as well as rhino coating. Well, the fact is, the rhino coating, the quote we received was right around the same price as replacing all of the siding. And we knew we had a substantial amount of rotting exterior siding. We have spoken to the Historic Commission regarding this project. So this evening, we are requesting authorization to award the bid for repairs to the Mary Thompson Farmhouse to BTS Construction of Shelby Township in the amount of $36,650 with the contingency of $1,832.50 for a total project cost of $38,482 with funds provided from the Mary Thompson Trust. The Thompson Trust Fund has just a little under 300,000 in it at present, and these funds from the Thompson Trust Fund can only be spent for expenditures associated with maintaining the property.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zorn. Can I ask you one question as it relates
Certainly.
to that? So how does that fund grow in any way? Are we investing that money, or people continue to give to it? I'm just curious as to, how it changes itself.
Yep. The Unfortunately, in a very frustrating point under Michigan law, funds held in trust earn very modest interest, less than 1%. It's not money that can be put into a market, some other type of instrument that could perhaps have a greater return. Um, People can donate to it, but the bulk of the money is from money that's been there for years, and um, it it earns. I think the last time I looked, it was around 1% interest, and it's unfortunate, but that is, as a trust, we have restrictions as to how we can invest those funds.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Excellent question, though.
I was just curious as to how that works out.
Nope.
Okay. I'll give council may have some other questions too. So I'll start with Madam Pro Tem. Ms. Morris, would you like any questions?
Oh, thank you, Council President. No questions for me. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Taylor.
No questions. Thank you.
Ms. Banks.
No questions. Thank you.
Yep. Mr. Brightwell.
Yes. What is lot one, lot two, and lot three?
The That is how the purchasing department put this together, and that's where it gets into the gutter system removal, the installation of the plank, and then the installation. I believe the other part was for the shutters on the house.
Okay. All right. And this is probably not. It was just a curiosity question. What caused the wide disparity in a couple of the bids? From BTS when you go all the way down to Master. Did they just did not understand the scope of the work?
That's always a tough question to speak to. I think we often get bids that are really out there, and they think, well, if I'm the only bidder, I may get the job. I think the first two bids, BTS and Allied building out of Detroit, are closely clustered. There's in essence probably about 7,000 about 7,500.
Yeah.
Between the three, they're pretty close.
Yeah.
But I really can't speak to master maintenance. I can speak to our purchasing department to see if they have any more insight.
That's fine. No sense in diddling it, but I'm just curious why someone come in at 36,000 and someone else come in at 98,000. So that that's just more than normal. But okay, no need to look further. I think we got a good price, and I know purchasers know what they're doing. So obviously we can live with that. Thank you.
Can I ask you, Fred, was Allied or minority owned?
I would have to put that question to Nikki Lumpkin. I don't know that, Mr. President.
Okay. But you want us to vote on this tonight? Or do
I was hoping that we could.
Okay. Well, let me finish with the rest of our council people. Mr. Hoskins?
No questions for me on this. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Mandelbaum?
Nope, I have no questions.
All right. So it's been asked by the administrator for us to take action this evening. I'll entertain a motion.
Councilwoman Banks, I move that we authorize the city administrator, or we authorize the repairs for the Mary Thompson house.
Support. This is Councilwoman Taylor.
All right, it's been moved by Ms. Banks, supported by Ms. Taylor, that we approve the authorization for the repairs of the Mary Thompson house. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
No.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
and resolution approved for authorization for repairs of the Mary Thompson house.
All right, thank you. Item B, Mr. Zorn?
Yes, I'm going to ask for Deputy City Administrator McRena to step in on this. He's very familiar with it.
Thank you, sir, and good evening, council. As you recall, we previously had presented two issues relating to safety and security on campus to council with a couple proposed solutions. The first was our public address system, which over the years had failed in many areas and had been rendered useless because of reconfigurations of buildings. We were able to repair that under $10,000, and that is now working throughout this entire immediate campus area. So that has been addressed. The second system was the actual security of our buildings. Our key-based system was really failing. Keys had been given out for decades. I took a key from a contractor that we didn't even have a record he had. One of our employees recently had his employee ID and his keys stolen. So we really felt that it was important to go to a system that would expand our electronic access. So not only would we be able to turn any access card off the minute we find out it was stolen or the person no longer works here, someone comes in, we say, we've ended your employment, and they say, oh, I don't have my card. That's no problem, because we'll just turn that off. Also, this would give us a record of who is coming on campus when, as far as employees. The original concept was to expand our 2016 system to include the perimeters of public service building, parks and recreation, the lower levels connecting them, pavilion, and city hall. During the process of preparing bids, it was discovered that some more doors in parks and recreation really needed the coverage. They had some incidents where there were safety concerns. They wanted not only the outside of the perimeters electronically fobbed, they wanted some of the inside doors into employee-only areas from the lobby electronically controlled so that it would easily keep them locked as opposed to fumbling for keys. And when you have to use the keys, a lot of times doors are left open, and that was some safety concerns they had. So that did expand the project a little bit because we did come in higher than we anticipated. I think another factor was although 5 companies showed up to bid, when I escorted the companies around for the walkthrough, it was pretty obvious that most of them were not too interested in this project. The sole bidder was the company that installed and maintains the system, which is a reasonable thing to happen, I think, because they don't have to spend all the time learning the system. Regardless, I think they also had the impression there would not be much competition, so the price was a little higher. Subsequent to bid packaging going out, there were a couple changes made, actually 3. There was an elevator in the public service building. Because of COVID, we had some work done as far as the rear lobby, and we enclosed or separated the customer and employee access area. So that made that lobby a public area. For that reason, we needed to control the elevator off that lobby. That was one added. Another area that was added internally was some additional security controls near the cable 15, so that we have a record of when people come in, a little tighter control in that area, and some video cameras at the intersection of the hallway right there near facility maintenance and the loading dock. Those were added. Also, outside, we did add some security cameras, in part due to some problems that had occurred. These weren't the ones that triggered it, but for instance, we recently had graffiti on the public safety building and the library. If these systems had been in place, we would have at least known who was coming and going from campus. And I think in the library, we probably would have actually seen what was happening. So the system did grow to a total of $139,000. That includes a $12,000 contingency that we're not really anticipating because this was pretty closely spec'd, but there is always that possibility. Once we have this, we will have a building that is fairly tightly controlled. And if ever a question comes up, well, when did someone come in? We'll know exactly when that is. I think this is a big improvement for safety, probably bigger than the public address system, although of a different nature.
Okay. Thank you. For you give us a very concise report. And for myself, I don't have any questions, but I will go turn to council. Mr. Mandelbaum.
Yeah, thank you, John. This is very helpful, and obviously security of our building is important. The only question I have is, are we still going to have doors that require keys? So, for example, for council members, we have a key to get into our office area. Will that now have electronic access, as well as Are you looking to do this for all doors or only specific doors that are from the outside, from the public?
These will be for specific doors, employee access doors to all the buildings. And I believe you should be able to get in with just a fob from now on. Also, the doors will have keys. They will just no longer be keys that are issued to employees. Instead, there will be some employees, facility maintenance employees, who are on call, Mr. Zorn and myself as well, or will be available should the system fail, because this does fail secure. Right. With electronic access, you can fail safe, like the glass doors up on the walkway, or you can fail secure. These fail secure. So there is a possibility that someday, if there's a calamity of some type, we may need someone to come in and use a key to open the doors. But in general, it will be fobs for all access into these buildings.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. No more questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mandelbaum. Mr. Hoskins?
Thank you. So, John, did you say 2 other companies were looking at this, but they dropped out?
Actually, there were 85 companies were notified of the bid opportunity. 5 companies came in and did a walkthrough. Only 1 company bid, unfortunately.
Did they say why the 5 companies, or the other 4 companies, why they didn't want to bid on it?
They did discuss different reasons as far as staffing and time and so forth. Although I really have to believe that the fact that they knew somebody else had so much knowledge about the system may have left them feeling that they could not compete as easily. They just, didn't necessarily even seem very interested in the walkthrough as they listened. And that's just my personal thought on what happened. I wasn't surprised when we only had one bid.
Okay. And I only asked just because this is going back to our previous item where um, there were three, and then we had this one that was really high. And I'm just wondering if that was something that might have happened here if they knew, like, oh, well, this other company's going to get it anyway. And then the company that does have it, they're like, oh, we're going to get it anyway, so we can charge whatever we want. I'm just trying to figure out if the price that we're doing this for, and I mean, this is the security of the building, so we have to, it has to be done. But I'm just curious if there was a way for us to, I don't know, check to see if we were getting the best we could get, or are we just at their mercy?
I think that's a valid question, sir, and a concern I have as well. The problem is that whatever we do, there will be the disparity in knowledge. Anyone who comes in to work on this system, and we've seen other contractors do that, be it mechanical, electrical, or even plumbing, the first thing they have to do is learn what the system is. And I should have mentioned previously, there's a little more to this project than I mentioned. It's not just expanding an existing security access system and installing some cameras. It's also bifurcating the system. And I think that is a big part of the cost and the complexity. As it is now, all electronic access goes back to the police department. And that's been a little problematic as far as coordinating for access and deciding who gets access. Under this system that we're proposing, this will be split into two systems such that the police department will maintain all control over their access system, but the other buildings will be controlled under IT through the direction of administration in the departments. So it is more of a system change than just adding. I think if it was just adding, it would have been simpler. When they got out here and started to see what was included, it turned into a more complex job than I think some people thought. But I'm not sure how we can change that.
Okay, and one last question. Do we have a timeline yet of when this will be all finished?
I don't think this would take more than 2 months unless there is a COVID-related problem. So, I mean, I guess you can't say anything for certain, but the actual work itself, the company knows how to do. That should not be a problem unless there's a COVID problem. He did not indicate any problems as far as availability, but for all I know, in 2 weeks, none of us might be working from home again. I don't know.
Yeah. I do look forward to getting a fob, as I find our keys very annoying. So that is all the questions I have.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you for asking. Mr. Brightwell, anything? Mr. Brightwell? Okay,
Yeah, excuse me. Excuse my back. It was on mute. John, I do have a question. Just from a security standpoint, is this as secure as we can be with the state of the art right now, and given the funds that we have available in the city? How tight does this make our security?
Yes, sir. This is, I believe, to be a very good bang for the buck as far as the level of security we'll obtain. It will be the first time we'll ever actually have control over our buildings. One of the things that I believe we need to do is institute some restrictions on when people are allowed and not allowed to work. This will help us do that. As it is now, if you have a key to our buildings, you could just walk in anytime and nobody would have a clue. So former employees, contractors, current employees, no clue whatsoever. Under this system, we will have an independent record of that. I think this is actually a good security. It's good security for outside our buildings. Just to mention a little enhancement, not only will we have, with HD cameras now, and I'm talking about ultra high density pictures, you use a panoramic view and you can zoom in incredibly well. We have that, but we also have the opportunity to use pan tilt zoom cameras. So let's just say that there's an area where we anticipate there may be problems, or there's a car parked in the parking lot that we say, wonder if something's going to happen there, or maybe we need to take a closer look at the buses. We can focus in just on that and leave that recording as well. So this really is a well thought out system that gives us some capabilities we've never had before. Just being able to see who comes and goes on campus all the time is a huge improvement.
Okay, that's fine. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Obviously, given the nature of the world now, as much security as we can, and as much security as we can afford. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Right. Well, Councilwoman Banks.
Thank you. No, I'm in favor of this project, and like Councilman has said, I'm looking forward to the fobs. Got too many keys, and I'm glad to see that this project is going forward.
Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Did you say Councilwoman Taylor?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear clearly. I'm in favor of this project. I think it's timely, and I think it's a great idea. I enjoyed the presentation. It was very thorough. All of the questions were asked and answered that I had, so I won't go back into those. Again, I'm just saying thank you, and I think this is a good project.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Taylor. And Madam Pro Tem Morris.
No, I'm in support of the project. No further questions for me.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else on the call? Questions? I believe again we're asked for action this evening on this to receive the bid for the action camera project.
Mr. President, this is Councilwoman Taylor. I make a motion that we accept the receipt of bids for the access and camera bifurcation project.
Support.
All right, it's been moved by Ms. Taylor, supported by Mr. Brightwell, that we do that we approve receipt of bid for the access and camera bifurcation project as presented by our Deputy Administrator this evening. Are there any questions before we take a roll call vote? Hearing none, I'll ask you to please call the roll.
Vanderwall,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Hoskins.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Council President.
For your presentation.
Thank you, sir. If I could add one more thing, though.
Yes.
I don't want to leave any unmet expectations. When I say we'll have access to council rooms that council needs to use, please remember I don't mean necessarily every single door to these rooms. Because of cost, we do try to keep it to one door to a room. So you may have to come in this way or the front way or the back way. I just don't want to leave anyone thinking that we'll be able to do all the doors to all the rooms. That would be too much.
Okay.
So it won't be quite as convenient, but I think it'll still be convenient.
Well, I think we'll be used to it over where we need to go.
All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Council.
All right. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Administrator?
Yes, Mr. President, just a couple things. As been stated earlier, City Hall will be closed on Election Day. However, voting still will be happening. Treasurer's Office, Human Services, Housing, Community Relations, those offices will be closed. The building department will be manning a crew. Again, our focus was to allow City Hall with so many people coming in that day, just as a safeguard measure for our employees during this COVID crisis. As many of you know, we've gone through a lot of effort to separate those points of contact. Dividers, glass walls, partitions have been put up. Our focus on next Tuesday will be all about the elections. Obviously, our public safety and public works personnel, those essential employees, will still be working. Want to comment this Saturday at Bedford Woods between 1 and 3. We have Book and Boo at Bedford Woods Park. And the Halloween comments, the CDC does have some real good suggestions, as has already been mentioned. Our community relations department will be mounting a campaign this week, Facebook, city's website, just letting people to know, how, if you are going to partake in Halloween, how to do it safely for the children, and get to also and giving out treats. The police department and the fire department have also been part of that. That's all I have this evening. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Mr. Administrator. We'll go to Attorney's Office. Attorney King.
Mr. President, this is Marceline Pruitt. We have nothing.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I forgot you were on Miss Pruitt today. Thank you. Have a good evening. Madam Clerk.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few things. First, we are still leading the county in absentee ballot requests. Our numbers as of about 6:48 this evening, we have 34,355 ballots that have been issued, and we have returned 24,842. So right now we're looking at a 72% return rate of our absentee ballots, with a little bit more than a week away from the election. So those numbers are absolutely fabulous. So over half of our registered voters have requested an absentee ballot, which is just simply superb. As you know, we do have an election, as everyone's spoken to that, Tuesday, November 3rd. The polling locations will be open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. All 36 precincts will be open within the city. We also encourage individuals who plan to vote in person. If you're not sure where you vote, you can always go to www.mivote.com. And you can always call the clerk's office here at 248-796-5150. Again, the clerk's office number is 248-796-5150. Also wanted to just continue to thank my staff and all of their hard work, as we've been the busiest we've ever been here with voting throughout today. We have a consistent lining up at 8 a.m. all the way through 5 p.m. Reminder, we are open this Saturday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Just encouraging individuals not to wait till the last minute if you can help it. Just try to come early if possible. We still have about a week, just a little bit less than a week for you to take advantage of voting in person. And just for the voting day at the election, on election day, just keep in mind we will stay safe, and it will be secure, and we will have all of the voting booths 6 feet apart, just maintaining social distancing. Indeed, we do highly encourage everyone that is visiting the polls to please wear a mask and continue to wash your hands. We'll have sanitizer throughout the polling location. So just ask that everyone just essentially exhibit good hygiene on that day, as we may have numerous people in and out of the buildings. And continue to take advantage, which is on our website, our landing page of the cityofsouthfield.com website, of the 8 precinct, the ballot boxes. I will say, from the reports from my staff, the Shano School has been getting the most use out of their ballot box. So a big shout out to all of the neighborhoods over there. They've really been utilizing the ballot box consistently. And then lastly, Mr. President, I know we spoke, our next council meeting will be November 9th, but we did speak about if it was an appetite for the council, because we don't have any agenda items lined up for the meeting the week before Thanksgiving, to potentially cancel that meeting. If we give in proper notice, if the council wishes to do that, I would ask for a conversation about that this evening, so that we can notify individuals and take action that potentially our meeting could be canceled for November the 23rd. That again is the week the Monday before Thanksgiving. Historically, that's been a meeting that we haven't had. So it's something, Mr. President, that we can discuss or not discuss. Thank you.
That is, there seems to be something that we've done in the past for at least as long as I've been on council. So I wouldn't have a problem with us doing that unless there was anything of any urgent nature that came up that we had to meet on. I would like to allow everyone the opportunity to have that time to be with their families and whatnot during the holiday season to move in. So unless there's any major objections from anyone on council, I would say let's move forward with canceling that meeting as soon as possible so that people know.
Mr. President, we would just need a motion from the body to cancel the meeting on November the 23rd.
Mr. President?
Yes, Ms. Taylor.
This is Councilwoman Taylor. I'd like to make a motion that we cancel the meeting for Monday, November 23rd.
Support.
Ms. Taylor, supported by Mr. Mandelbaum, that Southfield City Council meeting be canceled for November 23rd of 2020. Is there any other comments or questions before we take a vote? Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Morris?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
Banks?
Yes.
Brightwell?
Yes.
Hoskins?
Yes.
Mandelbaum?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion to cancel the Monday, November 23rd meeting has been adopted. Thank you, Council. That's the rest of my comments this evening, sir.
All right. Clerk, again, I want to thank you and your team for all the work you guys are doing. A hectic year for you all, much unlike other years. So, up to good work. Mr. Treasurer, are you on today? All right, Mr. Planner. Is our assessor or engineer on today? Okay. Hearing no voices, we have no meetings to schedule and no ordinances to approve. Is there anything else for the good of the order before we adjourn?
Mr. President, we should just remind everybody that we have daylight savings time coming up Sunday. So they could fall back an hour, which everybody probably saying they rested enough, but we'll get another hour. Just a reminder.
I'm going to take that hour, Ms. Taylor. I need it.
Mr. President, one more thing, just a reminder, just got the text message, just a reminder to our residents that COVID is running rampant. So the encouragement, people, when you're out, when you go into your home, make sure you're taking your shoes off because it could be on the bottom of your shoe and going throughout your home. So it's been encouraging. Make sure when you're out and you go home, just to take your shoes off.
Yes. Yeah, they said the next wave is hitting right now for the next 3 months. So take every precaution that you can, Southfield. We don't want any more residents than we already have. So thank you again, Ms. Clerk. Anything else for the good of the order? Otherwise, this meeting is adjourned.